Joining me now, former Attorney General. He's all over this stuff. Jason Miyares. Jason, thanks for being with us.
So great to be with you again, my friend.
Good to see you. Jason. Now, I was at your headquarters in Virginia Beach. I don't want to get into the election, but I just couldn't believe it. We sat there dumbfounded. I'm like, there's no way Jason loses. You ran 8 points ahead of the top of the ticket. Winsome Sears, she lost by 15. You lost by 6. You ran 9 ahead of her. You led the ticket. But those early votes that went for Jones, people didn't even know what was out there. But now here we are, right?
Yeah, listen, you get in the arena, you're going to win, you're going to lose. But it is true about 400 some thousand people had voted before the text messaging. And then about 20% of the electorate wasn't even familiar with it. So, but listen, you can't have a comeback without a setback. But right now, my focus is on what's happening in Richmond. I think is the most astonishing left-wing lurch Virginia's ever seen. And now this is a shameless left-wing power grab by a bunch of politicians. And this redistricting amendment, for people that are listening saying it doesn't affect you, it does. Think about this. You're going to have, Northern Virginia is about 1/3 of the state's population. It's going to be roughly half of the delegation. You're going to have 5 congressmen in Virginia that all live within 20 miles of each other. That's not good for Virginia. So what they have done is taking a map that's 6-5, 11 members of the congressional delegation, 6 Republicans, 6 Democrats, 5 Republicans, which reflects Virginia. We're a purple state with shades of blue. And now they're going to make it a 10-1. It's a message to every part of rural Virginia, drop dead. We do not believe you have a right to have a voice. Instead, we're going to create a map where essentially almost every district in the entire state is going to be anchored in Northern Virginia. You have districts that start in Arlington and end in York County. I doubt some of these individuals will ever take the time to go visit York County. And so I think it's an astonishing moment to see, but it's also in defiance of a court order. They're clearly in violation of the law. The law is clear on there's a right way and a wrong way to amend the Constitution of Virginia. This is a very sloppy, haphazard way. Not only is a left-wing power grab, they're not even following the law of Virginia. And so that's why we're fighting them in court. And if we have to fight them and beat them in the ballot box, that's exactly what we're going to do.
So there's a lot of concern 2 ways here. And I want to start with the first one, which is the legal aspect of it. Judge Jack Hurley in Tazewell basically blew this thing up. I mean, he had 4 things. He said he didn't pass any of them. They were 0 for 4. I mean, if you read his ruling, I mean, he eviscerated this thing for 2026. Now they're appealing it to the next level up. It's going to end up at the Virginia Supreme Court, obviously. As your law background as Attorney General, is this thing, how does the Supreme Court, how do 4 of the 7 overturn what Hurley said? I mean, the law is clear.
Well, I thought the judge's ruling was both succinct and correct on the law and the facts. The first is you have to realize in the Code of Virginia, it says that if you are going to amend the Constitution, you have to do so 90 days before the election has to be posted. That was never done. They've admitted they've ignored that section of the law. And the idea, just for your listeners, is the way you amend the Constitution of Virginia is the constitutional amendment passes the House and the Senate. There is an intervening election. It's supposed to be posted 90 days before that intervening election that this is a proposed amendment. So the voters are informed. The voters go into the voting booth saying, listen, they're about to amend the Constitution of Virginia. This is a big deal. And it could influence, and often does. In fact, there were several affidavits that were submitted to court saying redistricting absolutely impacts how I want to vote, whether they're going to get rid of my congressman or not. They never posted the 90 days. They actually did this the week before the election. Remember, it was quite controversial. They were getting Winsome off the campaign trail to preside over the Senate in her capacity as lieutenant governor. 1 million people, 1 million Virginians had already cast their ballot by the time that this amendment passed. And so we no longer have an election day in Virginia. We have an election season. It's 45 days. I didn't change this, John. The Democrats changed it. They changed it from election day to election season, where elections actually start in the middle of September. And so by every objective measure, this has been sloppy and haphazard, all in the name of pleasing left-wing politicians, not pleasing Virginians. Remember, Abigail Spanberger, who ran on, what did she run on? Affordability, and I'm a moderate. The first bill she's going to sign as governor, the very first one, is going to be a left-wing political power grab to please a bunch of politicians in Richmond. That's nothing to do with affordability. If anything, it's unaffordability. It's going to be sending people to Washington. They're going to raise your taxes and raise your energy bills. So it really is astonishing. And so this is a call to Virginians to get ready. The last thing is, John, every other constitutional amendment has always been on a November election date. They're not doing it in November. They're going to do it in April, where you maybe have a 20% turnout. This is the party that's supposedly protecting democracy. They're going to intentionally put this left-wing political power grab in April, where you have maybe a 20% voter turnout. And so I would be overjoyed for once to see perhaps the Washington Post, Democracy Dies in the Darkness, Washington Post, perhaps they could talk about this is an astonishing, breathtaking assault on democracy in the worst form. We've never seen anything like it in Virginia.
I think the Washington Post would love to do that, but they just fired another 300 people, so they don't have anybody to cover Virginia. But they probably would if they could. But this thing is on April 23rd, and so my question is: will the courts decide before the referendum or after?
Yeah, I mean that would be my expectation. They really can't sidestep it. It's such a remarkable question. And listen, I have confidence in the Supreme Court of Virginia. I don't think they're going to be intimidated by, Louise Lucas and Don Scott. I think it is so obvious the multiple errors, not just a single error, the multiple errors that occurred in this process. Like I said, there is a right way and a wrong way to amend the Constitution of Virginia. The idea is it has to be deliberate and thoughtful. That is how it was put forth and framed. That is the structure. That amending the Constitution of Virginia is no small thing. And to remind you, John, I give you a lot of credit. You were with me back just four or 5 years ago when we were pushing redistricting reform. The idea that politicians can't be playing these games. And I remember going out on that tour with you. You, me, George Allen, talking about the fact that politicians shouldn't be playing these games. Let's have maps that make sense, have communities of interest. And that was approved in a evenly divided state like Virginia. That constitutional amendment passed with 2/3 of the vote. 67% of the Virginians all agreed politicians don't do this. I think that is part of the reason why they're trying to not put this as a November referendum.
Yeah, because they'll lose.
Referendum. They want a small subset. They want to get their base to just try to turn out in the middle of spring, which is not a normal date. Most people don't think of, April 23rd as an election day. It is the opposite of democracy, all in the name of making sure that we have 5 congressmen that live within 20 miles of each other. And that have delegations.
They know how to get their votes out. We don't. And we don't have the apparatus to do that. And then you got the problems of the Republican Party of Virginia, which right now is an oxymoron. A couple things. Jason Miyares is with us, former Attorney General, Republican in Virginia. We got a lot more to get to, so hang in there with us. So, Jason, just if the court rules that this thing is not good for 26, it'll be good for 28, not good for 26, but now they've got it on the ballot for April 23rd, but the court rules no, what happens? Do they take it off the ballot?
It's dead. It would be held in contempt of court. They can't. It would be dead. And you would not find any local registrar that would want to violate a court order from the Supreme Court of Virginia. So it's effectively dead. They would have to start the process over again for 28, and they would have to follow it the proper way. And we'll probably be then debating this then. But again, it becomes a little bit of a moot point because, you'd have to have the intervening election of the House of Delegates would be in 2027. And then it would have to go into the voters in 2028. Well, okay. But then the way the amendment reads right now, it would be it defaults back to the nonpartisan redistricting commission in 2030. My suspicion would be this. The Supreme Court kills it. They're going to just try to get completely rid of the amendment and just completely repeal it. That would be my expectation.
Right. But if that doesn't happen, then the only way to defeat it is by defeating it at the polls and the
Ballot box, yeah.
23rd.
And that's going to be critical for us to tell every rural Virginian, Republican or Democrat, they don't want you to have a voice. They don't believe you should have a voice. They don't think the fact you live in Bath County or Rockingham County or York County or the Northern Neck, they don't think you should have a voice. They don't think you deserve, as a Virginian who gets up every day, works your butt off, plays by the rules. They're not playing by the rules, and they think so little of you that they're telling you drop dead. And so this is your chance to say no. We're not going to be ignored. We're not going to be maligned. We're not going to be shoved in the corner. If this goes to the ballot box, I think it's going to be a unique moment for rural Virginia to show up and to send a really strong message. Stop marginalizing us, because we've already seen what they're doing in Richmond, the opposite of everything they promised. They didn't run TV ads saying we're going to raise your energy bills. We're going to push 13 different tax increases. We're going to tax you when you try to get an Uber. We're going to tax you when you try to get a paycheck. We're going to tax you when you go try to buy groceries. They didn't advertise and run on that. We're going to increase your gas bill. No, but this is exactly the type of bait and switch they did. And they're trying to make sure they could fool us over the eyes of Virginians in April if it goes to ballot.
Insane. And it's going to be tough to beat it because they know how to get their votes out. And are we going to be, if we mount a opposition to this, are we going to be able to raise the money to make it real?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I'm committed to doing that. I'm committed to travel the state, do as many media interviews as I can to talk about how this is a threat to our democracy, threat to what we've called the Virginia way. This would put a stake in the heart of the Virginia way. It'd be unprecedented to see this type of action. And so
sounds like I better gas up the bus. Gas up the Trump.
We need to gas up the bus. Yes, sir. We need to gas it up.
Bring in Jason. Bring in the firepower.
Yeah.
Look, I want to get to a couple other things. The left wing. It's breathtaking what they're doing in the General Assembly. I've never seen anything like it in 2 weeks. The taxes they passed. I'm going to get to that in a second, Jason. But I want to give a shout out to your campaign consultant, David. Rex Road has been a friend of mine for many years. Does a great job, and I'm happy that he's staying with your organization.
Yeah.
Dave is one of the best people I work with. He's a great guy.
Yeah, old friend, and it's brilliant political mind.
Brilliant.
To your point, I mean, think about this. On every objective measure, they have decided to turn Virginia into California. They're putting us back. Again, they ran on affordability. What do? They get us back in the reggie that's going to add hundreds of dollars to every Virginian's electric bill over the course of a year. They are pushing a variety of tax increases, including tax increases that are going to devastate small business owners. They have instituted a variety of so-called reforms of housing that actually going to make housing more scarce. So they're going to make it harder to pay your rent. That's going to go up. Harder for folks to build houses. So it's going to be hard for you to buy a home. Your taxes are going to go up at the pump. Your taxes are going to go up on your paycheck by every objective measure. And then you layer on top of that what they're doing on criminal justice. They've introduced the second look bill that allow every single felon in prison today, child rapists, child pornographers, murderers, allow them to have a new sentence, brand new sentence, even if they pled guilty, even if, we have a system in place with geriatric parole that you can apply. This is above that. This is totally different from that. And so they're making it less safe, Virginia less safe, harder to live in, and less affordable. And so a friend of mine who's in the legislature, I won't say their name, but he had a joke. He said, the problem sometimes is when Republicans lose, we act like we're never going to win again. But when Democrats win, they act like they're never going to lose again, because they only know how to govern with this credible sense of just this left-wing sense of, I guess, urgency is the way I would maybe describe it. Aggressive, progressive. That's what they're doing. They don't view California as something to run away from. They view California as a model.
What they're doing is it's mind-boggling what they've done in 2 weeks. And the thing is, Spenberg is going to sign every single one of these bills. She campaigned as a moderate. She's going to sign them all. And you go back to Glenn Youngkin, he vetoed like 450 bills. All these are coming back even worse. And she's going to sign them all. So you mentioned California. I think it's going to be worse than that because there's no stopgap here. Now, let me get to a tough issue. There's not a Republican Party in Virginia. It doesn't exist. You got a chairman's race coming up on, I think, Saturday, right? Give us, have you made a decision in that race? Because right now the party is in shambles. There's no money, there's no organization, everybody fights with each other. You experienced that as a candidate. I mean, it's a pile of nothing. What are we going to do to turn this around in Virginia?
Listen, I have great faith that the state central committee, which really are pulled from the grassroots, are going to make a great choice. I am not endorsing the race for that reason. I want to respect them too much. Obviously, I know Nick Profit, who worked for me, and is very well known as down in the Hampton Roads area. But I have great faith in the state central committee is going to make a great choice. We need to get ready for the 21st century. That's the first thing. And we need to both use all of the tools in the toolbox and using new emerging technologies like AI to both communicate, motivate, and mobilize. The greatest threat we have right now, John, in my opinion, is actually not the left. I think it's apathy. That is our greatest threat to us, is the idea that conservatives and like-minded folks, common sense folks, have a sense of apathy. Oh gosh, look what's happening in Richmond. It's never going to change. It will. We've shown how much Virginia can swing when a good common sense folks decide, you know what, I'm not going to be apathetic. I'm going to get off my couch. I'm going to get involved. I'm going to get engaged. And yes, we're going to make change. That's what we need. That's a mindset I think that we're going to see come out of RPV.
That vote is going to be Saturday. I don't know who's going to win. I think Jeff Ryer got in the race. I like Mike Clancy, but if I was there, I would vote for Ryer. He's got the experience. He knows how to raise money. He ran Tommy Norman's office forever. It's not the easiest thing to do, as you know. And so I think he'd be the guy, but I haven't made an endorsement. But if I was there, that's who I would vote for. Okay, I want to get to another issue. You've been with me on these scam games. I just hate them. And you're a supporter of gambling the right way in Virginia, that goes through either the lottery system or the thing that we have for the casinos, where it's a long process, the apps for athletic betting. But now we got this iGaming thing coming up. I don't know what the hell's going on here. Now they're going to say you can download this on your phone, you can bet 24/7. You can lose like $100 in 90 seconds sitting at the 7-Eleven parking lot. I mean, it's going to devastate the lottery, which is funding education, which is a legitimate system, has a whole operation to run that. And now we're going to go to iGaming? What the hell is going on?
Well, I mean, I think it goes to a larger issue that you have seen a lot of actors that have, the states, there's a right way and a right way to do gaming and gambling. And the states that have done it, they said it, each state's different. And the Supreme Court has left this largely regulated to the state. Each state's different, but what's absolutely factual is each state says, if we're going to have gaming or gambling, if we're going to have a brick and mortar casino, or if we're going to allow sports betting, or pick your category, it's going to be regulated in the following way. And yes, there's going to be revenue that comes from that back to the state. But you're going to have age verification. You're going to have a variety of guardrails. It's like saying, yes, cars are great, but we're going to make sure our cars have brakes and our cars are going to have seatbelts, right? Same thing when it comes to gaming. And I think you've seen in a variety of categories, people have ignored that, say, we don't want seatbelts. We don't want brakes. We don't care about state regs. We're going to come in anyway. And I think it's going to be a couple of years, I think, of legal fights and putting it on the radar of people. A lot of people don't realize what's going on, but appreciate you raising the issue.
I mean, it's crazy because it takes money from the lottery. It takes money from legitimate sources. But the biggest thing that I'm concerned about with iGaming, which is just another source of unregulated money grab, is that it is the crucible of addiction, right? I mean, I bet hockey, right? I bet baseball, I bet football. And I said this earlier, I'm going to put a hockey bet in today, probably put it in at 3 o'clock in the afternoon after I have time to figure out what I'm going to do, right? Probably bet a game that starts at 7 o'clock. I'm going to bet $50. That's basically my bet. So I'm going to find out if I win or lose at 10 o'clock at night after the game's over, which I'll probably watch. That's 3 to 10. That's 7 hours. I got $50 on the line. Or maybe if I bet 2 games, it's 100. I can lose that in iGaming sitting in the parking lot at my studio in 30 seconds. Yeah. And there's no guardrails around it. This is the seed of addiction, preying on the most vulnerable in our society with no guardrails. You get on. I mean, the thing with the athletic gaming apps is you got to get registered. It's geocoded. You got to be in the state. Everything, you got to sign everything up. They check you out. They send text back. They got to verify. You have to have money in there, right? You do iGaming. You can put $10 in, and in 2 seconds it's gone. Yeah. Why is this coming to Virginia?
It's just too much money. I mean, I'll give you and if you look at the brick and mortar casinos, almost all of them have facial recognition. Right. They identify that you have an addiction problem. They're gonna bar you and ban you. It's the Wild Wild West, and so you're gonna have people that come in that because of the amount of money they're gonna come in, and then it takes candidly AGs and local law enforcement officers to try to get involved. But also, listen, there's going to be a federal component to this as well. It's multifaceted for sure.
Are you going to be the Virginia watchdog? I mean, now that you're out of office, I know you're going to have a bunch of different roles, but are you going to be the watchdog for us?
Somebody joked that I was kind of the shadow government in exile, but
I love that.
Funny, but listen, I think that's my job. I love Virginia too much to sit on the sidelines. I love Virginia too much, and I know these policies are fundamentally bad for Virginia. Not just this left-wing political politician paragraph with their districting, but all of these laws we just discussed. It's going to make Virginia weaker, and we're going to go back to what we were before. Governor Youngkin and I came into office. We had 8 years of more people leaving Virginia than moving in. That's what's going to happen. So I am not designed to sit on the sidelines. I want to be in the arena because Virginia is worth fighting for.
Okay, final thing. I know you got to go. Cuba. I know you're very dialed in to what's going on. They're hanging by a thread right now. President Trump cut the oil off. No Venezuelan oil. They're getting no money. They're running out of money. They're about to be a bankrupt country. What do you see there? Geopolitically, is a communist government in Cuba going to fall in 2026?
My gut is the president is going to achieve what Kennedy and every administration since has not: a free Cuba, a Cuba that won't be aligned with the worst actors, but a Cuba that'll be aligned with the United States. That's my hope. I have cousins that I've never gotten to meet in my life. And so that is my deepest desire, that this communist hellhole 90 miles off our coast, now that Maduro got taken out, the only non-democracy in the entire Western Hemisphere. Sorry, leftists, that all these leftist professors that love Cuba, you're cheering on the only non-democracy in the Western Hemisphere. Cuba Libre, and I hope I get to see it. And I hope my mother stays alive long enough to see it well.
How do you see it happening?
I would not be surprised if they make the same offer to Canal that they made to Maduro, and that Maduro was a moron and didn't take it, which is leave, and we won't come. I think there is a good chance that they will make that offer, and he'll probably end up in Mexico or some other country where we have an agreement that we won't extradite him. And I think the regime is brittle, and I think the Cuban people yearn for freedom, and I hope to be able to see it. Boy, will that be a party in Miami when it happens.
I think it's going to happen in 2026. I know Marco Rubio has inferred that. Of course, he knows more than we do. But I think your scenario plays out. I think they'll make him an offer, you're right, to get out. And after what they did to Maduro, who's now in jail, and he's not getting out ever, I think that's probably an opportunity they might want to take a deep look at, because the bigger problem there is they have no money. I mean, there's no money. And once this oil gets cut off, and they were being funded by Venezuela, the Russians can't fund them because they're tied up in Ukraine. So I think you're right. I think we're going to see it happen in 2026, Jason.
Yeah, that's my hope, my friend. We'll
All right. And then,
we'll toast one when it happens. Okay.
no doubt about it. And I'll see you on our. If this passes, if the Supreme Court doesn't scrap this egregious redistricting, I'll see you on the bus tour. I hope I don't have to do it because I hope they just get rid of it, and that's the end of it.
Yeah.
Jason Miyares, thank you for your time. People want to follow you now. Where do they go?
They could still go on Twitter. They can go to jasonmiyares.com or jasonforvirginia.com. They can go to, if they want to get involved in this fight, vafairmaps.com, vafairmaps.com. Sign up, get involved, get in the game. Democracy's at stake in Virginia.
Okay, Sunday, Seahawks minus 4.5 over the Patriots. Who do you like?
You know, probably the Seahawks, believe it or not. I think I'm going to take the Seahawks. I think they played a pretty remarkable season, and I like them in that game. I don't really like either team, to be clear. I'm neither a Seahawks or a Pats fan, so I'm not.
Yeah,
I'm not there. Watch the commercials to see what good movies are coming out this summer.
I will
not be watching the halftime show, but
either way. What's your football team? I don't remember.
Right now, I'm a little homeless because I grew up a Washington Redskins fan, and they don't exist anymore. I guess I don't like to call it the Washington team, and I grew up a huge Dan Marino fan, so I love the Dolphins. And when Peyton Manning played, I just was a big fan of his, so whichever team he was on. But but I'm much more into college football these days than pro. The NFL got a little bit. Let's just say I love what college football is, and NFL is not what college football is.
Jason Miyares, I want to thank you. Make it a good bet. Bet the Seahawks minus the 5. Thank you for being with us today. As always, don't forget, Godzilla wins tomorrow, 9 to 11 a.m. I give you all the winners back then. Jason, thank you for being with us. As always, Jason and I go back, God, so many years, Jason. 20? You never age, though, right? You always look the same. Unbelievable.